Hello, welcome to another video. Today we are doing a Q&A. If you ever want to be featured in one of these videos, make sure that you're following me on Instagram because that's where I asked for all these questions and you guys sent in a lot, so let's jump right into it. How do you pick a niche and can you have more than one? So I think it's super important to have a niche, and I know that, so many brands and marketers are trying to say like, oh, you don't need to have a niche. And while I think that's sort of true, like you don't need to like completely narrow yourself into a little hole of just one type of content. I do think it's important to have like a brand identity. And so with a brand identity, you need to have some sort of niche that connects you with other people. And what I mean by a niche, because I know some people are like, what is a niche? All it is a type of content that you create or something that categorizes you as a creator. Some people are feet creators, but then maybe they have multiple niches that go along with that. Or like different hobbies that they're into that they incorporate into their content. For me personally, I would say my niche is OnlyFans, content creation, like how-tos, tips and guiding other people, like basically like an OnlyFans teacher. But then what falls under that niche category is the other type of lifestyle content that I do. So if you look at my TikTok and my Instagram, you see my actual personal life and the things that I'm interested in, and you also see the OnlyFans stuff. Building a brand it's very difficult, but what I would recommend is finding what you actually like. So as far as my OnlyFans go, I try to make content that feels comfortable for me. Like I don't try to fall under like a certain category of content just because I want a niche, like a cosplayer. Like I'm not a cosplayer. That's not something that feels super natural to me. But what feels natural to me is kind of like the lifestyle content where like maybe it's shower content or maybe it's like me dressing or whatever, you know what I mean? Like stuff that feels more natural for me. So what I would recommend if you're trying to find a niche is figure out what feels natural to you and then dive a little bit deeper into that. Okay, so what is it that can be more specific that can really connect with an audience? I would recommend maybe having a few niches, maybe 3, and then that way you have different types of content, you can reach different types of people and you don't feel like you're really narrowing yourself down to just one thing, because obviously we're all multifaceted people and we have multiple different types of interests. How do you get other OF creators to respond back to me for share promos without sounding spammy? I would just be like, hey girl, do you want to do share for share? I have this many followers and this is the type of content I make. Obviously on Instagram, there's a lot of girls sending these messages and they are spam. So I would recommend doing this somewhere where it feels more natural, like Twitter. When I first started, Twitter was probably the best place for me to connect with other creators. But another way is, I guess, Instagram if you want to. And I would just be really careful with this because there are a lot of spammy people and that's why people aren't responding as much. I think also to not sound super spammy, I would just start to get to know the creator first. Like their pictures, comment on their pictures, and really get to know them first before asking to share for share, because then it won't be spammy and you'll actually be building a connection with this creator. And remember, you don't want to just like send a million messages to every single person saying share for share. Not everyone you should share with. Like, not everyone is in the same category as you or would even make sense for you two to collaborate in that way. So really think about who is your audience, where are they, and does this creator also have the same interests as you and have the same audience as you? So when you're really specific about those things, then it's not gonna feel as spammy. And when you're really actually genuinely building a connection with this creator, they're gonna not see you as a spam. What are your next steps and goals in life? I have so many, but I also realized that life is a journey, and I kind of took a step back from thinking about goals as like, this long-term thing. I kind of tried to view them as something a little more closer to me. So I try to do smaller goals and take steps towards those. So then that way they will reach my bigger goals, which would be obviously to have a house and to have my businesses running mostly on their own. That way I can focus on like content creation because that's what I actually enjoy doing. And so having like multiple businesses and things like that, whatever those things are. And I know I want to be a big business person. Like that's what I care about. So instead of thinking about that, I try to think about the small things that will get me there and what I can do right now. So right now, like smaller goals for me are building out those businesses and figuring out what is the most important business and what makes the most sense for me and for what I'm able to do, and taking those steps, building those connections with people. Those are kind of like my smaller goals. And then obviously my bigger goals is to buy a house. I've been saying that for years. Buying property and saving for retirement so that one day like I'll be comfortable and safe. Besides financial goals, I really want to be able to enjoy my life. That's always been a big one, especially when I started OnlyFans, was like being able to have time for my life and time for my family and time to be able to like go on trips and travel. That's always been super important to me, and time for myself and time for like me and Daisy. Like those are the most important things to me. Those are kind of my bigger goals and smaller goals right now. And I think it's also important to note your goals can change, and I think that's why I stopped thinking of like this huge big picture of like all the things that needs to happen in my life, and now I just think about those smaller things, because I notice as my life goes on, like things change and my interests and my whatever I want has changed. So not feeling so stuck and like concrete about what my goals are, letting them flow with me has been really important. How to go viral on TikTok. I think it's so important to pay attention to what is going viral and learning from that type of content. And also thinking about how to cultivate an audience, because not only do you want to go viral, but you also want to build community. And those are two things that you need to build like a loyal audience. So first, like the viral is to like find those people. And then the community side of your content should be about keeping those people and wanting them to involve themselves in your platform. So how to go viral just in general, I mean, you can look at a ton of different pieces of content that have already gone viral and recreate that. That's honestly like an easy cop out, how to like go viral. But really it's about testing things and learning from your mistakes and trying new things and making a lot of content so that you can really learn what works. I think that's the best way to go viral. See what's been going viral on the platform and then try and recreate that in your own way. Sometimes things will come to you. There's like a formula to virality, right? It has to be something that's super catchy and engaging. It has to be something that's quick so that people, don't want to scroll past. So whatever it is needs to catch someone's attention really fast. But I think overall, it's just making genuinely good content that you enjoy, that other people would enjoy. I think that's the first most important thing. And when I was like going, I guess, viral on TikTok, now I'm really thinking about how to cultivate an audience and how to like build loyal fans. So that's kind of, if you notice, I'm not going viral on TikTok right now. I'm more focused on how to really connect with an audience, and that's what my goal is right now. But when I was going viral on TikTok often, it was when I was making LGBT comedy videos. So I was trying to captivate their attention with comedy. And what I was doing was I was doing research every single night on what was funny, basically, and how I could create that in a LGBT form, because that related to my niche, which is what I was doing on TikTok. So it's really about strategy and like doing your research. How to balance working 9 to 5 and doing OF marketing and DMs. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have a 9 to 5. I haven't had a 9 to 5 since I started OnlyFans. So for me to say that I know what's the best strategy is not fair. Like, I really don't know the best way for you to balance both your 9 to 5 and OnlyFans. Because for me, OnlyFans is a full-time job. It's a lot of work. But if I were to give you my best tips just based on experience when I did have a 9 to 5 job and I was doing YouTube, I would time block and I would set aside time, on the weekends to make YouTube videos, or in the afternoon, or before I even had to go to work, if you have time for that in the morning. But I would really time block, because I think that that's been game changer for me, is just knowing when do I have time to do what and how long is it gonna take me. And if you really want something bad enough, you're gonna find the time, you're gonna make the time, and you're gonna cut out some of those, fun weekends that you wish you could go exploring or whatever. Instead of doing that, maybe it's time to focus on your OnlyFans or focus on the things, your goals that you want. Another thing too is whenever you're sitting on the toilet, whenever you're just sitting on your phone, whenever you're just waiting, waiting in a waiting room and you're just scrolling your phone, use that time for your goals. That's big, because you probably spend, your phone probably tells you spent 6 hours a week on your phone and you were probably just scrolling TikTok or scrolling Instagram. Use that time to your advantage and make some money. Okay, how many months did it take you to get started, getting a steady up and down of OnlyFans subs. So I've mentioned this before, you're going to lose subs, you're gonna gain subs, you're gonna lose subs, you're gonna gain subs, and slowly that should be increasing, right? Slowly you should be making more subs in the long run. I will say, when I started in the pandemic. So people were very, very curious about OnlyFans. I started noticing a steady increase, but at the same time, I've also now hit sort of like a steady, that's it, just a steady. It's not always an increase. Sometimes it's just steady. Sometimes you hit, not a plateau, because it's not like it's going down, but you just reach a steady pace, right? Where you're losing some, but you're gaining some, and you're just at that same level. I reached that a couple years in, where it was just steady, and then sometimes I get a burst of new followers, and then I'm able to keep that new steady, if that makes sense, like the amount of followers. It's hard to say when I hit a steady increase. Everyone's account is gonna be so different, and I don't wanna give you like a timeline that then you feel like if you don't fall in that timeline, you're not doing well. Everyone is gonna be different, and I think that my best advice for you is just constantly be marketing, constantly be making better content on socials and on your OnlyFans, because that's how you keep those fans, and then that's how you attract new fans, is just really making good content and marketing constantly every single day. And I think that as you get into this, it's like watering your plants. I talked about this with one of my students. Just like watering one of your plants, you know, in the beginning, you have this little baby, you know, plant, and then eventually you have a full-grown tree, and the tree doesn't need you to water it every day anymore, but the plant really did need that nurturing. So when you're in the beginning stages of your OnlyFans and your social media, you need to be on it all the time. You need to be engaged, you need to be promoting, you need to be doing every single thing that you possibly can. And once you get a tree out of that, you can then take a little bit of a step back, and you don't have to be there as much, because you've built the solid audience, you've built the connection with them, and they're not just gonna leave right away. Obviously, you still need to make sure that you're continuing to make content for them, and you're continuing to message them and engage with them so that they don't go away. But overall, you can spend a little less time as you get bigger on the platform. What hashtags are you using to promote? Mine don't seem to be working. I would recommend getting specific. So like I said in the beginning, it's all about the hashtags, it's all about creating content over and over again, but I'm at a place where I don't really use hashtags because my content is now getting promoted in different ways. So because I've already built up the momentum, so now social media knows that it can push me out to a certain type of people because I've built enough, like, I guess if you think about it like Reddit, like I've built up enough karma on my social media platforms so that the platform knows who I'm trying to reach. But you as a newer creator, the platforms don't know who to put you in front of. So that's why the hashtags are important, because it targets the right type of people so that your platform knows where to place you. So you need to be specific about those hashtags that you're using so that you are placing yourself in front of the right people. If you're just using generic hashtags, hashtag OnlyFans, hashtag feet, hashtag pretty girl, it's not specific. Like, who are you? So clearly, if I were just getting started, I would hashtag things about like tattoos and brunette girls and maybe curvy girls because I have big boobs and big butt. You know, be a little bit more specific. And then if you're making a certain type of content, get specific with that. And also don't overboard it with hashtags. Like, just make good content. I think that so many of us are so worried about what strategy of this and what hashtags with that, when the reality is you need to make good content. Look at your content and look at a big creator's content that is within your niche and within your realm and maybe within your body type or your hair color or whatever, right? Make sure you're not just looking at, like, I'm not gonna look at a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Barbie girl because our content isn't gonna look similar, but I may look at, you know, somebody with tattoos and black hair. That'll be a little bit better. And then I compare my content. Is the quality of my content matching up with theirs? And if it's not, then you need to improve. That's really what matters. Forget the hashtags, really. Do you have any tips for messaging with dudes on SW sites? I'm new to it. I have a whole video about how to communicate with your fans, so I will link that here. And I will say that this comes with time. It's not always easy to communicate with people when you don't know them, but I think that that's the point, is you want to get to know your fans. The first step in communicating with your fans is getting to know them. Get to know their interests, get to know their hobbies, get to know the names that they want to be called. Like, hey, what should I call you? because sometimes they don't want to share their actual names, but maybe just saying like, hey, what should I call you? And then they'll tell you. And even just that, just getting to know them a little bit, getting to know where they're from, what their interests are, what their hobbies are. That's the first step. That'll help you dip your toes in. And then start to turn the conversation a little bit kinkier. So once you say, you know, what are you up to? What are you doing today? They'll be like, oh, I'm doing this, and then I have work. And you'll be like, oh, what are you doing after work? Maybe we should play. And that's an easy way to dip your toes into playtime. And then the next thing that I like to do is when I was first getting started, I didn't know what to say. So I just Googled things to say in the bedroom, and then you get an idea of what you would say when you are trying to get to that playtime. And there are literally lists and lists on the internet of things to say in the bedroom, and you could just start, you know, importing that into your conversations. Do you do any kind of P on your OF or just hot pics? Yes, I do all solo content, but it is P. It's not just pictures, there are videos. How do you gain subscribers on Slushy, and how do you work Slushy? I have an entire video on Slushy if you want to check that out. I have a few videos of Slushy, so I'll just put the playlist and you all can check it out. I literally love Slushy, it's amazing. And there's tons of ways to get fans on Slushy, and you don't even have to leave the app because they have a whole discover page. What is your go-to self-care method or methods? I like to read. I think that that's something that I really enjoy doing, and I also like to go out into nature and just like sit with my feet in the sand, or sit with my feet in the grass even. Like those are the types of things that make me feel good. I also really like to like be a couch potato and watch Netflix shows, like bad reality TV. Like that makes me feel really good. I love to do my nails. I think that that's like one of my biggest self-care acts, is just like having my nails done makes me feel like a brand new person. It makes me feel amazing, and it makes me feel like sane and like put together in this world. So those are some things that I like to do for self-care. I like to drink tea. I like to make myself a little latte in the morning. I like to watch YouTube videos. And another self-care that I like to do is like listening to podcasts and motivational stuff. Those are all some things I like to do. I also like to sometimes treat myself. So sometimes for lunch, I'll just go get sushi, or I will go for a really long walk. Or going, and I know retail therapy isn't always the best form of self-care, but sometimes it makes you feel good. So sometimes I'll just get myself like a little treat, or I'll like go to Sephora and get myself a new mascara or a new foundation or whatever, you know? So even doing just little things like that make you feel good. Also, I think it's important to treat yourself to trips, and if you can't do like, you know, big giant trips, maybe trips to just see your family. Like that can be a great thing for your mental health. Do you do mentorships for no-face creators? If so, how has your experience with them been so far? Yes, I actually have tons of students that are no-face creators, and I do want to say too, my mentorship is very like open to any type of person, any age, any sort of like niche, whether that's like no face or you're doing feet or whatever. Like my mentorship is really open to everyone, because what I teach is how to do this, and it doesn't matter what the niche is. It's not about, I don't teach a niche. I teach how to come up with the right marketing techniques, how to set up your pages, how to find fans and find people within your niche. And I also get you connected with other creators, and I also get you connected with resources, and I just kind of guide you in the direction that works for you. I really try to help everyone, and that's what I enjoy doing, is just helping you learn how to do this. And also, if you're interested in just doing like social media, that's another thing that I talk about with my students, is how they can make money on social media as creators, and not just an OnlyFans creator. Like you can really be a lot with this career path. You can choose to do a lot, and that's what I'm here for, to help you through all of it. Someone says, do you find content creating lonely sometimes? I think I used to, and I think because I'm like a homebody, I enjoy being alone and like lonely per se. Like I actually like it. No, I don't feel lonely. I do feel like it can be a lonely process in the beginning, when I wasn't really sharing exactly what I was doing, or like when I wasn't really talking about it with family and friends as much. I felt like no one really understood, or, you know, it's a lonely career in the sense that not everyone understands it. But I think because I talk to so many girls and creators, and guys too, I just talk to a lot of creators now because of like my my podcast and because of my YouTube channel, I don't feel as lonely. So if you are feeling lonely in this career, I totally get it because not everyone understands this career, but I would really recommend making friends within the industry. And I know we're all kind of spread out, but that's what the internet is great for. Connect with other people, like reach out and just be like, hey, I don't have a lot of OF creator friends. I would love to connect, get in some engagement groups, and it doesn't feel as lonely when you know people. And that was the last question. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun. It was actually really not what I expected. I didn't expect to answer so many OF questions. If you do have more and you would like to do another Q&A, make sure you're following me on Instagram. That's where I ask you guys to leave me questions. This was awesome. I enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things today, and I hope that everything was really helpful. If you are looking for a mentor, I would love to mentor you. That is gonna be linked down below. It's the online course that's linked down there. So basically it's an online version of like the mentorship, and you also get contact with me personally so that we can message each other and so that you can set up calls with me and all of that. So it's a whole thing, and it's really, really fun. And you also get connected with other creators because I have a group chat going for that. And everyone's just been really amazing. If you're interested in that, please go down below and sign up. And with that all being said, I will see you in the next video.